And now we turn our attention to Android 13 Beta 3, which is very exciting because it means that TalkBack 13 has actually dropped. Unusually, in the first two Android betas, the new version of TalkBack to coincide with the operating system did not drop. So it was just TalkBack 12.2. But in Android 13 Beta 3, we do have TalkBack 13. Warren, do you want to lead us off on this item?
I am really excited with Android 13 Beta 3. And I do want to mention, though, before we get started with Android 13 Beta 3, is that we also this June, so Google has been very busy, and this June also ended the QPR, the quarterly platform releases that Google had earlier on back in February for the Android 12L beta. So it was such a confusing thing because you got two betas running. You have one coming from Android 12L and one for Android 13 and all of that. Well, that one finally comes to a close this June. And so if you were into that QPR or the platform quarterly platform release beta for the Android L that has closed as of this month, and you will be automatically unenrolled within a few weeks. So, in order to be able to join Android 13 beta, you must unenroll from your other Android 12 beta. So, but if you don't, like I indicated, you will be automatically unenrolled over the weeks to come. And then there'll be no more Android 12L beta because they're now merged together with Android 13. Now, let's talk about Android 13 Beta 3. It's been a very busy week for Google, and it's exciting to see that 2 days after that drop on Wednesday, then yesterday, there was another little huge 6 MB update that came through from Google. For some reason, though, somebody forgot to put that feedback app into the drop that we had on Wednesday, which was the Android 13 Beta 3. And so that came through yesterday. So if you see that, that's what that all is all about. It's nothing much to write home about. But of course, if you're going to be able to give feedback to Google, you'll have to be able to give that feedback through that. So without that app, there will be no way of giving a feedback. So we have that. So if you haven't had it, then you want to make sure that you get that update. Now, let's talk about what is new. In reality, nothing really much is new in Android 13 Beta 3. The most important thing, though, is that this job is the final API integration. So if you're a developer, for example, and you've been sitting on the fence, this is now the time to join in because there are not going to be any more new APIs introduced into Android 13. As we close in for the final release, there will be one more beta coming up next month, and then thereafter will be the final public release, which I believe may be sometime in August or maybe in September. I think last year was the first time that we didn't see the public release till October, rather, was last year. And all of that was because of the pandemic. Everything now gets blamed on COVID. And by golly, I hope we're soon crossing that bar so that things will start to get back to normal. But so in reality, I don't think that there's any new things that got introduced into Android 13, besides, of course, the talkback, which we will talk about here in a little bit. But then there are some things like there's an improvement in the copy and pasting, and I'm not talking relating to us blind people necessarily, but there's been some improvement in that Android 13. And then there's a little thing called the um, pocket operator, something like that. So the whole idea is to be able to make a video out of nothing, and that is there on the Play Store as well. You know, it's something that you can actually grab from the Play Store. It's not necessarily integrated into that, but it requires Android 13 Beta 3. So that's one of the newest things. And then the search or the home key or the home bar, because that doesn't make sense to a lot of us, those of us who are blind anyway. But if you look at the bottom of your screen, where you do that gesture to go home. What a lot of people have likened it to is that it now looks more or less like what we have on Fruitvale. And Fruitvale, of course, I'm referring to iOS. It's now a little bit wider and bigger than what it used to be. So that's another visual change that has come to Android 13 Beta 3. And then, of course, there's some other stabilizations and things like that. We have a page that I'll be including in the show notes, most especially for support for large screens, people with tablets. Amanda, I'm talking about you. I'm looking at you, Amanda. You've
Mhm.
got that tablet there.
Yeah.
So this is actually going to be a better experience for you,
Ooh.
given the fact that you have a Samsung device. Of course, Samsung is preparing to roll out the beta for it next month. So you probably may want to jump on that and see if you have any better experience on that large tablet that you got. Those are some of the things that are part of that, what is new as of Android 13 beta, because it's just all about stabilization and everything is now fine. And I'm looking at you, SuperSense, because for quite a while now, I've not been able to run SuperSense on my Android 13 betas. And so hopefully, maybe SuperSense would update theirs also to make it compliant, since there are not going to be any more new APIs introduced before the final release. I think those are
That,
some of the things that are there that are fundamental for Android 13 Beta 3.
thanks, Lauren. That's because third-party app developers don't support beta versions of software. I think you might have to
Exactly.
wait till it
But
comes out.
we want them to do that because, you got there are a lot of people out there that like to jump onto these beta programs or, previews and things like that. And the whole idea of giving out these previews and betas is intended at developers. And why these developers usually don't jump on that is just beyond me.
Well, they do though, but they do it in their own private and public betas. What you're saying is you want end users who are interested enough to try beta software to have release versions of software that work with beta software. I think you might be onto a loser trying to get them to do that. But it's a good try. I would carry on trying. Do you talk about Braille display settings in your highlights and talkback, or should we talk about talkback 13 a little bit?
I do have it in my what's new in Talkback from the Talkback highlights, some of those things. And we'll mention some of those things here too, although it's there in my Talkback highlights. But of course, so when we talk about the Android integration or the Talkback 13 integration into Android 13 Beta 3, this is the first time that we're seeing the Android 13 come to um, Android 13 beta, because in normal circumstances, and this year, as I've indicated in the past episodes, this is the first year wherein, for some unknown reason, Google did not bring Android. I keep saying Android. Google did not bring in TalkBack 13 in the first preview. If you look at the previous previews, that is the one that we got back like in February when first preview of Android 13 came through, it did not come with any new TalkBack and all of that. So that was so strange, and it lingered until this beta 3, which just dropped Friday, last Wednesday. So it's a different thing. I hope that next year we don't have such a repeat. Google, if you are listening, we need to go back to how it used to be and stop doing these things that, we keep waiting and waiting. No bueno, man.
Chris and Kim, you've obviously got a 3A, I think you said. Do you play around with beta software, or do you wait for stuff to get released and
He
fixed?
does more of that than I do. He is by far the more adventurous beta person than me. I kind of want my stuff to stay relatively stable, especially if I only have one device in in the operating system at the time. I'm just like, oh no, you can do that, you can play, but with one of us on the beta, you can usually find out what's going on. But are you on any of the beta right now?
I am not. I have too many betas running right now.
He's
So
got a lot of betas going on in his world, so probably not the best idea. He won't know what he's running, so
Sounds very sensible. Yeah, you can have too many. You sort of got a corporate beta instability appetite, haven't you? You can't exceed it across devices.
Yes, exactly.
Otherwise, the whole caboodle comes crashing down and nothing ever works.
Yeah, between us, we're usually on 6 or 7 betas at any given time,
Yeah.
so it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, too much to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the
What
king
is
of
our corporate
betas.
risk appetite here?
I got so many betas, and I always jump on that first developer preview, and I've been doing that since Lollipop. That's Android 5.0, so I'm used to those previews.
Oh wow, I've done betas not on Android, but I have done betas of apps. But even on iOS, I've never dared to try a beta of like iOS. So I don't know if I'd do it with Android either. But maybe, I don't know.
You should. You should.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't know how you. I'd have to find out how you do it and that. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and in reality, though, to their credit, I think as of Android 12 or maybe Android 11, the previews that I've had, they actually come out working. And I remember there probably was one app that didn't work for me. Other than that, of late, just about every app works. But like I said, for some reason, SuperSense is the only app that's not working for me, even as of now. So.
Facebook's flaky with TalkBack with the beta.
Oh, no.
Like the sad the reaction buttons won't work properly. I think
Ah.
like does, but the other
Aw.
ones won't. They do a little weird cyclical thing, and it makes an odd noise, and it just doesn't do anything. So you have to kind of disable TalkBack if you want to do that, or use your other phone that's not running a beta. Just on betas, Amanda, it's significantly easier to enroll your Apple phone into a beta than it is your Android phone. What I would say though is that the Apple phone betas tend to contain way more fatal accessibility flaws, so you might not want to. You might find that something pretty serious doesn't work. I mean, you can find that in any beta.
I think probably with both, I'll just stick to wait until they're out. I think with both Apple and Android.
Yeah, my experience of Android tends to be that I don't know why. Maybe it's just luck, but it seems to have fewer fatal flaws.
Oh, that's good.
Accessibility
work
wise.
well in Android. Yeah.
I do want to mention something here that I observed with the Android 13 Beta 3, and that has to do with the Telegram app. For instance, if you install Android 13 Beta 3 and you're running Telegram, you'd realize that when you tap on items, like maybe on messages in Telegram, whether you're doing a single tap or double tap, it's not going to open those for you. And there's a little workaround. For some odd reason, it has to do with the magnification. So to work around that, you go turn on magnification, and that fixes it. And then you can turn off your magnification, and it works. But then as soon as you restart the phone, the problem returns, and you'll have to do that again. So if you're planning on jumping onto Android 13 Beta 3, that is something to keep in mind, most especially if you use Telegram as one of your messaging apps. But as long as you haven't restarted your phone after you apply that workaround, it will work fine. But the next time you restart your phone and it comes back, you'll have to repeat that. And just I want to make sure that people understand that. But I hope, though, that we get a fix for that in the upcoming beta, or maybe the guys from TalkBack will find a fix for that. But that's what it is with Android 13 and Android Accessibility 13.0.
Let's just touch on Bro as well. So Warren's going to mention it in highlights from TalkBack. It is now integrated, which is probably a good thing, into TalkBack. You can assign a gesture to access the Braille display settings, which is quite helpful. That is in the list of commands or functions to which a gesture can be assigned. Annoyingly, hide screen still isn't, and I've no idea why. Whatever. What I will say,
they need to have that. We need to have that.
I don't understand why it isn't.
And because
why not?
It's an easier way to do that. That would be, I think it's something that kind of just got overlooked. But I'm glad we no longer have to use Braille back, to access our Braille displays. So that's a beautiful thing.
It is. The other thing they fixed is a natural language change. So turning off speech in TalkBack was misleadingly called turn off sounds or something like that. They fixed that in TalkBack 13. It is now more straightforwardly turn speech on or off. What Google confirmed either last week or the week before in respect to Braille support, somewhat disappointingly, but I think either APH or HumanWare had already confirmed it anyway, was that the human interface driver standard is not initially going to be supported on the release of Android 13. So that is essentially the standard that the Braille display manufacturers and the operating system manufacturers, including Google, actually produced and committed to, so that Braille displays would be plug and play, quote unquote. It's Bluetooth, so we're not plugging anything. But it stops those silly drivers you used to have to install from Handy Tech or, well, Help Tech now, aren't they? BAM or wherever, to make your screen reader work. But Google, in its wisdom, has decided they're not going to support this on Android 13, which Warren doesn't seem to think is a problem. But never mind, being a minority of one.
Yeah, well, here's my take on it, though, and let's be fair. My take on it is that, in reality, how many Braille displays out there have heat support? That's the question number one. Number two, if we introduce this too soon, then you're kind of leaving some people out in the cold. And, Braille devices, let's be honest, are not cheap. You're buying something for $6,000, $3,000, and then all of a sudden you're not able to use it because of whatever. I think that's not a good thing. And just to do that on the ground that a couple companies or whatever manufacturers have implemented, that I think I'd rather fault on the side of the many that still use the old stuff.
But you're not displacing the old stuff. It's just supporting the new stuff as well. HumanWare use it. And this standard's not new. This standard's been around a long time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, there's only maybe a couple of them that you can count on one hand, maybe HumanWare and who else, that has that heat support, and the others don't. So what do?
You can
So
only
does that mean the Brilliant won't work with it?
Yes,
It does.
The new one.
The Brilliant will work with Android.
Won't.
Depends on which Brilliant.
Will not.
Yeah.
Some of them do. Some of them
BI20X.
work with it.
The 14
BI20X
probably
will not work.
Yeah, it's a BI20. Yeah, I've got a Focus 14, like, and the HumanWare, the Freedom Scientific one or whatever it is, and that worked with Braille back on thingy, and I don't think the Brilliant worked with the version of Android now, because I tried connecting it and nothing happened, so I assumed it didn't work. But the Focus bit, I got the Focus 14 to work, so that's quite cool.
Yeah, that'll work. Kimmy, you were going to come in, I think.
Yeah. Just saying, that's the issue when you've got the nice new devices. I've got the new Brilliant BI40, or relatively new, And,
I'd love to use the Brilliant with them.
Yeah, it's just it's a 40 cell display, but I also understand the piece about the old devices, because I've got some of those as well. So it's like, well, what do you do? I mean, I just hope it's one way or another that we can get it resolved relatively quickly for the new people as well as the old people.
I hope so, but it's not one or the other. It's not like everyone's old devices will be deprecated.
Right.
Yeah, and I think probably the best solution would be to have, like, maybe the heat, and then you also have something like a legacy whatever devices. I don't know how doable that is, but frankly, I think that may be the only way to go about it, because I don't want to, go out and buy a new device when my old device works perfectly. So
how doable it is? It's what Mac OS, Windows, and iOS have all done. So pretty doable in the scale of doability, I would say. They all work. Not complicated. Google just won't do it.